Up front now, Michael Sala with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, one of the reporters behind this story. Michael, thank you for coming in. You quote appreciate that. You quote one MaraLago member who is a former investment banker saying this: "It was the near perfect ruse, and she played the part." How was this woman able to gain such access to in MaraLago?
Well, you think about all the props. So the jewelry, the brand new Mercedes G-Wagon, the Van Cleef and Arpels bracelets, and so she played the part and she was very good. And for all intents and purposes, she had everybody there, at least the guests, convinced she was a member of the Rothschild family.
This investigation into this woman comes 3 years after two separate incidents of Chinese nationals being arrested for entering the resort's grounds, as you note in your reporting, and we all remember. What have you learned about the security process for people to get into MaraLago since Donald Trump has left office?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, because what you're dealing with MaraLago is you have a private club and you have the president's residence. And, there's a saying there: we've never had a former president, living in a hotel. And so the challenges of providing security are really difficult. For instance, you can have guests coming in and out of one part of the compound, and there's the president with his family in the other. So the whole problem is being able to provide the kind of security in the club and in the residence that protects the president and his family and all the records that were there for all that time. And so it's a difficult task. It's a juggling act.
For sure. She has said in sworn statements, this woman, in your reporting, that she's never used another name. She hasn't broken any laws. Also telling the Post-Gazette that this whole situation is some misunderstanding. At what point did Trump's security realize what was going on?
Actually, Kate, they've never found out what was going on. I think we pretty much told them. I think that had been for about a year, kind of a secret, at least among most of the people that were there. A guest that was invited there in March finally broke it to some of the president's staff and other people, like, hey, be careful. This isn't the real person you think it is. Wow. And you should probably not allow her here. Don't get involved with her in any way. That was in March. So that was close to a year later. Wow.
Bottom line, there's a quote in your piece that really stuck out to me and seems to sum it all up. The quote is, "The question is, was it a fraud or an intelligence threat?" Have you landed anywhere close to a conclusion on that?
No. And I think, as the Secret Service agent said, the former Secret Service, that's the problem. But the idea that you don't know who is there, that at any given time somebody could get into this facility under a fake name, fake identity. Think about it. She was in and out of that place 5 times in 2 days, driving in, driving out, driving in, driving out. Nobody checked her ID. Nobody knew who it was. She could have been going into Neiman Marcus for all that matter. And the president was there that weekend. So that's the challenge it faces. Is it adequately protected on all sides?
She very clearly introduced herself as Anna Rothschild, and she kind of maintained that she was part of the family.
He's talking about this woman, whom he thought was Anna de Rothschild. John Lefebvre, an investment banker and guest at MaraLago, says he met her at the club last year, just before Mother's Day. He says she passed herself off as a member of the Rothschild family's banking dynasty and called it a near-perfect ruse.
She talked about growing up in Monte Carlo. She talked about her grandparents' house in West Palm Beach. She talked about family investments in the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas.
The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project were first to report the woman's alleged caper at MaraLago, which former President Trump calls home. They say she visited there at least 5 times last year. And new reporting by the Gazette and OCCRP has revealed possible ties to a Russian gang enterprise with a history of money laundering. This is video they obtained of her driving up to the MaraLago club's front doors.
She's wearing designer clothes. She's got the gold Rolex watches. She's wearing Van Cleef & Arpels, bracelets.
The Post-Gazette and OCCRP reported that numerous records have been turned over to the FBI as part of the investigation. These are just some of the fake IDs those media outlets say the 33-year-old woman was allegedly using. 2 fake passports, one from the U.S. and one from Canada, and a Florida driver's license that uses the home address of an $18 million mansion in Miami Beach, where the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette says she has never lived. Look closely. The name on all of them is Anna de Rothschild. But that woman is not Anna de Rothschild. Her real name is Ina Yashishin.
She's driving a brand new Mercedes G-Wagon, $170,000, and she has transformed herself into Anna de Rothschild.
We used her real identity, Ina Yashishin, to track down her lawyer. She declined our request for an on-camera interview, but through her lawyer told us she had only come here to the MaraLago Club once, on May 1st, 2021. When asked if she claimed to be a Rothschild, she said she had never used that name inside MaraLago and never held herself out as that.
That is, categorically false, and I can say that definitively. She presented herself as a Rothschild. In fact, she said she was going to her grandparents' house the evening before we played golf to pick up her golf clubs.
Those golf clubs were used to play at nearby Trump International Golf Course the day after John Lefebvre says he met her at MaraLago. This picture, first obtained by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, shows Ina, or Anna, posing for photos with both Donald Trump and Senator Lindsey Graham, who were at the course holding a fundraiser for the midterm elections.
Her interaction with Trump, was 5 seconds at most. She was very good at acting like she had been in those types of situations before, so she was not starstruck.
In this video obtained from the Post-Gazette, you can hear a guest off camera joking with her that she could afford to pay $1 million for a photo with Trump.
Anna, you're Rothschild. You could afford $1 million for the picture of you and Trump.
Notice she made no attempt to correct him. Her lawyer told us she was in a location where people thought she had money and that no one would be so quick to correct them. Another video from that same day, shared with us by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, shows her at an event at the golf club where she sat just feet away from Trump, who was at the podium. After that golf tournament on May 2, 2021, the woman allegedly posing as Anna de Rothschild went out for dinner with a group of Trump supporters. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette shared this photo with CNN. That's her in the back, standing behind Don Jr.'s fiancée, Kimberly Guilfoyle. The man standing all the way to the left is John Lefebvre, who told me he first met the woman at the MaraLago pool. And the woman's lawyer also confirmed she attended a fundraiser for former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens during the same week. It was held at a Palm Beach mansion owned by Trump. We reached out to Trump, Eric Greitens, and Lindsey Graham for comment, but they didn't respond. The FBI also declined to comment. But the woman's visit to MaraLago does raise all kinds of questions about security, given the club is also the former president's home, where classified documents were discovered in his possession back in August.
I was surprised at how little there is in terms of real bona fide checking of who comes in and out of MaraLago. Mr. Trump is no longer the president, but he is a man who's running for president, and he has all top leaders from all walks of life.
Former Secret Service agent John Wackrow told me security at MaraLago likely didn't do a background check on the woman, and that there are different security levels for the MaraLago Club versus the former president's residence. The U.S. Secret Service referred us back to MaraLago. So who is the real Anna de Rothschild? How did she get past security? And what was she doing at MaraLago?
If she's not the woman that she says she was, what were you able to learn about her?
She was born in a small town in Ukraine, poor. She came over here with her family, an immigrant family, first generation. Her father is a truck driver in suburban Chicago. Her mother cleaned doctor's offices.
The woman's lawyer, Andrew Smallman, tried to set the record straight. He told me the only time his client went through the security gate at MaraLago was on May 1st last year, and that she didn't show any ID. On May 2nd, he confirmed she was at the Beach Hotel across the street, and on May 9th at the fundraiser for Governor Eric Greitens. He told me she is not a spy. He painted his client, Ina Yashishin, as an abused woman who is being set up by a man she filed a restraining order against. Her lawyer said the passports with her photo aren't real, they're PDFs, and that someone created them with her picture on them. The woman's lawyer says she is cooperating with the FBI, but would not comment on the investigation.
MaraLago, where investigators recovered 26 boxes of archival material, including top-secret files and classified intelligence, is a notoriously unsecure place to keep national secrets. The ex-president's retirement home is basically a resort. It's a private club, event space. People hold weddings, attend New Year's Eve parties where Vanilla Ice is performing. They might go up to the omelet bar on a Sunday morning. It was plagued throughout the Trump presidency with security breaches. For example, back in 2019, 2 different women from China were arrested in 2 separate instances and charged with trespassing at MaraLago. Criminal complaint for one says she was found with, quote, 4 cellular telephones, 1 laptop computer, 1 external hard drive type device, and 1 thumb drive. A preliminary forensic examination of the thumb drive determined it contained malicious malware. Today, as we find out new details from the FBI about the stash of closely guarded secrets Trump had squirreled away at MaraLago, there's brand new reporting from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette about another apparent huge security breach there. According to the paper, a Russian-speaking immigrant from Ukraine pretended to be a member of the famous Rothschild family and made several trips to MaraLago. She was even photographed with the ex-president and South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham at a nearby golf tournament. One of the reporters who broke this incredible story is a 2-time Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Michael Sala. He's the deputy managing editor for investigations at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and he joins me now. Michael, first, just give us what we know about who this individual is and why we think there's anything possibly suspicious going on here.
She, are my colleagues at the OCCRP and us worked pretty hard at developing her background. She is a Ukraine, Russian-speaking immigrant who came to the United States 12, 15 years ago and reinvented herself in the last few years as Anna de Rothschild. She flies on private jets. She drives a brand new Mercedes. She started by working her way through with major developers in South Florida, trying to get financing for various ventures for which she wasn't really even a part of, and found herself getting invited to MaraLago. And that started the beginning of she was there last year for several trips. And for at least a year, everybody thought that she was indeed a member of the Rothschild family.
Is there an investigation now happening to describe how you guys got onto this story?
There is an inquiry by the FBI and Canadian law enforcement into how she got in, but also her background. She formed a charity which was found to be rife with fraud. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars missing. She has traveled the world. There's allegations of all sorts of crimes and criminality of which she has vehemently denied. But there is an active investigation, and I think they're just trying to determine, you know, a lot of her background and then how she found her way in there and what she may have represented herself to be and what she did when she was there.
Do we know? I mean, how did she end up playing golf with Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham?
She got invited by a friend of a friend, and there was a tournament that weekend. It was called the Trump-Graham Classic, and it was a fundraiser to basically kick off the midterms. They raised around $1 million, and she was invited to golf. She was able to meet the president, pose with him. She went back to MaraLago in and out. She was driving a brand new Mercedes-Benz SUV, and she at least 5 to 6 trips in and out of MaraLago with really nobody checking her ID, nobody really finding out like who really is she. All the guests in there thought she was a Rothschild. They thought that she was a member of this, you know, very famous banking dynasty family from Europe, and she pretty much had everybody captivated.
Yeah, you have multiple quotes from folks at MaraLago who say, yeah, we thought she was a Rothschild, and we were kind of a little starstruck and thought she was, you know, from this very fancy family. Where is she now?
She is believed to be in the Miami area. The last thing she said to us is she was meeting with the FBI. Multiple people have already been interviewed. It's an ongoing case, and there's a criminal investigation in Canada as well. A lot of it's in her financial dealings, in which she's represented herself to be, and I believe also they're looking very closely at, the time that she spent there, what her background is. She's very involved in the Russian community of South Florida, and she's she at this point in time, we really don't know the status of the investigation and where it's going right now.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear here, like, she has not, just for everyone watching this, she denies any allegations of any criminal conduct, and she has not been formally charged, indicted, or anything at all for anything criminal, just so people are crystal clear about that, right?
That is correct. No, she has not been charged. There's been no, there have been some filings in court, making allegations about her. But other than that, she is still out there, and she's professing that she had never represented herself as Anna de Rothschild, which is clearly not the case. There are enough people that already represent her.
Yeah, and she's got multiple documents appearing to call her that, even though that is not actually her real name. It says something about how you get in and out of MaraLago and how easy it is. This story made me wonder how many Anna de Rothschilds are golfing at MaraLago on a given weekend. Michael Sala, thanks so much for great reporting. Appreciate it.